When I learned that the June theme at UUFM was played, several options occurred to me. It will surprise few people that the idea of playing music would appeal to some of us. Here's my offer of two pieces. I learned the first one from a Doc Watson LP long before CDs existed. Watson's title was "I Was Born About 6,000 Years Ago." Recently, I learned that Harry C. Clyde and H.C. Vernier had published the piece in 1894 with the title of "I'm a Highly Educated Man." I hope you enjoy it. I was born about 6,000 years ago. There ain't nothing in this world that I don't know. I saw Peter, Paul, and Moses playing Ring Around the Roses, and I can lick the man who says it isn't so. I'm an educated man, to get more sense within my head I plan. Been on earth so long, and I used to sing a little song of us all them old timers took their stand. I saw Satan when he looked the garden o'er. I saw Adam and Eve driven from the door. From the bushes peeping, seen the apple they's a-eatin', and I'll swear that I's the guy that ate the core. Queen Elizabeth fell dead in love with me. We was married in Milwaukee secretly. Afterwards I shook her and I went with General Hooker off to fight mosquitoes down in Tennessee. I'm an educated man, to get more sense within my head I plan. Been on earth so long, and I used to sing a little song whilst all them old timers took their stand. I taught Solomon his little ABCs. Through all his books I tutored him with ease. While sailing down the bay with Methuselah one day, I played with his flowing whiskers in the breeze. I saw Jonah when he shipped off in that whale, and I thought he'd never live to tell the tale. But old Jonah had eaten garlic, and he gave the whale the colic, and he coughed him up and set him free from jail. I'm an educated man, to get more sense in my head I plan. Been on earth so long, and I used to sing a little song whilst all them old timers took their stand. I saw Israel fight the battle of the Nile. Arrows were flying thick and fast and wild. I saw David with his sling pop Goliath on the wing. I was doing 40 seconds to the mile. I saw Samson when he laid that village cold. I saw Daniel tame the lions in their hole. I helped build the Tower of Babel up as high as I was able, and lots of other things I haven't told. I'm an educated man, to get more sense within my head I plan. Been on earth so long, and I used to sing a little song whilst all them old timers took their stand. Whilst all them old timers took their stand. The second piece I've chosen was titled simply "Woad" when I discovered it. The melody, known as Men of Harlech, goes back to the early 15th century in Wales, and like so much wonderful British music lies there. And brave Welshmen trying to maintain their independence from the British. As Woad, these lyrics were first published in a collection of British Boy Scout songs in 1921. William Hope Jones was its composer, and he called it the National Anthem of Ancient Britons. A little translation is in order. Woad refers to the blue dye worn into battle by otherwise unclothed Welsh males of the British Isles in the 3rd century CE, designed to scare their opponents. Braces are suspenders. Spats are covers of men's ankles. Brompton Road was once the site in London of fashionable and expensive clothes. An aside, the reference to Woad in the 1995 movie Braveheart, starring Mel Johnson, was soundly criticized by several reviewers for being 10 centuries too late. What's the use of wearing braces, hats or spats or shoes with laces, vests and pants you buy in places down on Brompton Road? What's the use of shirts of cotton, studs that always get forgotten? These affairs are simply rotten, better far is woad. Woad's the stuff to show men, woad to scare your foemen. Boil it to a brilliant blue and rub it on your legs and your abdomen. Ancient Britons never hit on anything as good as woad to fit on. Necks or knees or where you sit on tailors you'll be blowed. Romans came across the channel all dressed up in tin and flannel. Half a pint of woad per mantle clothe us more than these. Saxons, you may save your stitches building beds for bugs in breeches. We have woad to clothe us, which is not a nest for fleas. Romans, keep your armors, Saxons, your pajamas. Hairy coats were made for goats, gorillas, yaks, retriever dogs, and llamas. March on, snowed on, with your woad on. Never mind if you get rained or snowed on. Never need a button sewed on. Good for us today.
Thank you, Michael. Last week, I ended my reflection inviting some beginner's mind, that state where you can approach everything as new as a child might, with a playful attitude, being in the moment. This week, let's see what happens. One of the ways of seeing what happens is improvisation. Improvisation equips us to respond to whatever comes. Something that could be very handy these days, generally in our society, and specifically here at UUFM with what's going to happen as things roll out over the next few months. Improvisation and play have a lot in common. They're both open-ended. David Charles, the theater chair at Rollins College, reminds us that no life or career can be perfectly planned. In improv, he says, every next choice is decided in the moment. That's the same in the workplace and in life. Choices decided in the moment, you might say. No, I need time to make choices. I have to weigh out the pros and cons, think through where we've been, how it fits in with the goals we've laid out. You can't just improvise, or can you? Phil Porter and Cynthia Winton Henry, creators of Interplay, suggest that in learning how to behave ourselves as children, we suppressed many of our own feelings and needs. Now, behaving is not all bad, of course. It's good to be able to sit still, to listen, to cooperate, to take turns, that sort of thing. Too often, though, behaving has meant suppressing parts of ourselves. What's the saying? Well-behaved women rarely make history. And it's telling, because who do we speak about as well-behaved? Generally, the people who have the least power and who have to accommodate to others in order to survive and thrive. I have never heard a CEO or really a leader of any kind described as well-behaved. According to Porter and Winton Henry, there's a way back to our own feelings and needs, though. We have to discover the knowledge that is in our bodies. And we discover that by moving in our bodies, by being spontaneous, by playing, by being in the moment. And I don't mean to say that there's no point to planning and goal setting. What I do mean to say is that our culture has overemphasized planning and goal setting at the expense of noticing what is going on right now and responding, even embracing it in the moment. Most of us have many more skills in analyzing the past and preparing for the future than we do in noticing, responding, and incorporating what is going on right now in the moment. And these are spiritual skills, whether talking about Buddhist practices of living in the present moment or remembering Jesus's admonition to consider the lilies of the field. Spiritual sources call us over and over again to dispense with worry and even to play. Playing with spirit demands attention to the moment, releasing the past and the future. So let's be in the moment now. Notice your body. Is there any part of your body that is calling out for special attention? Maybe it's hurting or uncomfortable. Maybe you have a muscle tightness. Maybe you notice some part of your body that's warmer or cooler than the rest of you. Notice. Send your attention to that place. And perhaps there's some action that part of your body would like you to take. Maybe to breathe into it. Maybe to shift how you're sitting, or maybe to stand and stretch. Maybe to take off shoes or put on socks. Listen to your body. And if there's something that it calls for you to do, do it. Now, notice your thoughts and feelings. Don't get lost in them, just notice them. Hey, that's a thought. That's a feeling. Let them flow over and through you like water. You don't need to hold on to thoughts and feelings. They're temporary. If you need them later, they'll come back. Trust your mind and heart to keep track. Breathe. Consider that every experience in your life has prepared you for this moment right now. You are equipped to handle this moment. What strength do you notice in yourself in this moment that prepares you for whatever you may face now or the rest of the day? Take that strength and center it in your heart. Feel that strength pumping from your heart out into your body. Don't think about it so much as let it be there. Your awareness is increased. You are learning from yourself. And as you're ready, widen your awareness back to our service together. In a few minutes, we're going to try a little improv exercise, and I don't want you to be nervous or anxious about it. I want you to draw on that strength you have to engage in our improv. First, though, I want to share some rules of improvisation. Now, the idea of rules of improvisation seems a bit counterintuitive. I just told you a few minutes ago that behaving can subvert our own awareness of what we need to do. However, we need a few rules, like the simple rules of a game of tag, to help us know how to engage most productively. Now, if you Google rules of improv, you will come up with a remarkable number of sets of rules. There seem to be a few things that are in common. First rule, yes and. And what that means is you have to accept whatever is already given in the improv. If someone has taken on the role of the captain of the ship, you can't say, "No, you're a dinosaur." That's a different story. Enter the story that is already there. So the first part of yes and is yes. And the second part is and. Add something. Affirm what you're given, yes. Then let something new come that adds to the story. Oh my God, it's a dinosaur. Yes, it is. That's not enough. A purple dinosaur and it's coming right at us. Much better. Yes, and is also handy for everyday life. Yes, and allows us to make unexpected and even incongruous connections. When your first reaction to something is, no, not even, can you find anything in it to say yes to? When you're trying to convince someone else of your argument, can you find a piece of their rationale that you can accept? If you can, you may be on the road to common ground. When you find yourself digging your heels in, can you simply imagine what it would be like to relax and accept what's happening? I used to have a habit, and I may still, to be honest, of using the word but a lot in my writing. A lot. What I was doing usually was trying to hold two or more sides of a question at the same time, which can be a real dilemma. What's more, in religion, though, I often find sacredness at the point of the intersection of paradox. Trying to change my buts into ands transformed my writing. It helped me to see that there's rarely two sides. Rather, there were interconnections and intertwinings more complex and more splendid than but would ever convey. Yes, and. Second rule, you look good if you make your partner look good. Cooperation unleashes creativity in a way that competition can't, especially in a situation where you're trying to work together. It's not about who gets credit for an idea. It's about building on the idea, playing with it, seeing what develops, where it goes. The better your playmate can play, the better you can play. Keep possibilities coming. You look good if you make your partner look good. Third rule, there are no mistakes. That's a hard one and a necessary one. In improv, as in play, as in life, when we're concerned about making mistakes, we decide, even if unconsciously, not to take risks. Or we judge something as a mistake before we've even had a chance to see where it goes. In studying creative writing, I learned that writing involves two distinct processes, writing and editing. You cannot write well if you cannot edit well. However, if you are in the editing mode while you are writing, it is very hard to fill a page. You start second guessing. No, that's not exactly the word I want. That dialogue sounds stilted. I need one more example here. I like to picture two different characters, a writer and the editor. It's not the editor's turn until the writer has had a chance to get it all out. And when we're in improv, when we're in play, the editor, the critic, the mistake finder has to keep their mouth shut because there are no mistakes. Admittedly, in real life, there are mistakes. There's also a lot more fear of mistakes than there are really bad mistakes. Fear of mistakes keeps us from taking legitimate risks. We are afraid we will look foolish. We are afraid people will judge us. We are afraid someone will take advantage of us. Now, analyzing the validity of our fears can be a useful approach. Or we can simply practice letting go of fear and of mistakes in a place where risk is minimal, at play. And the fourth rule, always be listening. We all know the cliche of not listening because we're figuring out what we're going to say next. But if we listen, then we have to completely let go of what we would have done differently. Instead, we have to keep up with where we are. What's next? It has to build on what is already there, right? And yes, and I can't know how to build on it if I haven't been listening. I might not have heard about the elf who was sitting on the toadstool or the hula hoop that was left next to the door. And that might be exactly the character or the prop that is needed next. So we are ready right now to launch an improv. Remember the rules. Yes, and make others look good. There are no mistakes, and always be listening. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a story, one sentence at a time. It will be better if we keep the sentences short. I'm going to ask Dick to remove the spotlight on me. I'm going to invite everyone to go into gallery view if you can, or at least look at as many people as you can so you can see one another. And I'm going to give a sentence to start, and I'm going to call on someone. And whoever that is, will give us the next sentence and then call on someone else and so forth. So one sentence only, avoid run-on sentences, trust the next person to bring the next thought. And if you can't come up with a sentence, no harm, no foul, call on someone else, just really fast. And please give it a try if you can, all right? So here we go. Our story begins. After all this time, I went back to the UUFM building and I couldn't believe what I saw. Chris Bailey.
The children had been there before us.
Call on someone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mary Beth.
Oh, and I was overjoyed to be back in the building. Oh, Sia.
The children had painted the entire interior bright purple. John and Judy.
And also painted a huge mural on the outside wall that was just repaired. And Larry.
The mural showed the children sliding down the hill in the snow into the highway, onto the highway. Oh, Lester.
And then they quickly ran back up the hill to start sliding again. Linda.
And they slid right down into the road, and a big truck was coming down the road back.
Call on someone.
Rob.
It turns out the mural was so edgy they had entered it into an art competition nationwide and had won.
Scene. Let's just call that the scene. Thank you for playing along. We made a story. We made a story about going back to our building, and we will be doing that. So that's really exciting. Our closing hymn that Renee is number 77, Seek Not Afar for Beauty.
It's coming. I was caught off guard because I was into the story.
Kathy was saying, what fun. I think we have had some fun today. Michael's songs were great fun. We had a great story, and here's our hymn.
Remember that.
Hopefully.
Into wet grasses all about your
as much as possible, say yes and add something more. Make others look good. Don't worry so much about mistakes. Listen, be in the moment, and play. Not bad advice for improv, not bad advice for life. I invite you now to join in breakout rooms to visit with whoever happens to be there.